Hey, what's going on, everyone? Just wanted to take a second and share something with you that's kind of been rolling around in my mind for some time now. It's in regards to a fisherman who had a brother, had a fishing business, lived a while back. His name is Peter. Now, Peter is recorded in the New Testament, the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And he gets a lot of screen time, gets a lot of paper time. And Peter was one of those disciples most would agree that he was kind of like the unofficial leader of the team that Jesus put together that we know as disciples. And Peter was kind of outspoken, kind of had a temper about him. Most would categorize or diagnose him as maybe having foot and mouth disease, which we probably all suffer from time to time. I know I do. Sometimes not thinking before speaking. But yet Jesus even included this guy in his inner circle, and he got to see certain things that maybe the other 9 didn't. And Jesus poured a lot into this guy. But there's something so amazing about this story that stands out to me that's often not spoken of, which is why I wanted to take this opportunity to do that. Jesus was not at all surprised by Peter's personality. I would even venture to guess it's part of the reason why he chose him. Peter had no problem saying what was on his mind. Even when it was wrong, the man spoke and lived with conviction. And so as we start to think about our own life and our purpose, the greatest question of all of why are we here? I just want to encourage you and let you know that God is not at all surprised by your personality of how you are if you lean more towards the introvert or the extrovert, or you're kind of in the middle of the ability to flip a switch and turn it on and be what you need to be in the moment. He's not at all surprised by your personality. He's not at all surprised by your gifting or your talent because he's the one who put it in there. You might always be asking, what's my purpose? I would always say start with your passion, and that will inevitably lead to your purpose. But oftentimes we get caught up in the comparison game. I still do it, and I've been at this for 24 years. And where you can look at someone else's gift and be like, oh man. And I just wanted to tell you a quick story. Back in my mid-20s, I was speaking in El Paso, Texas. And afterwards, the people who had invited me said, hey, we'd like to take you out to eat. That'd be great. So we went out to, I think we went to an IHOP. I believe so, somewhere there in El Paso. And we were eating. The inviting guest, the guy who had invited me was there, one of his associates, and the worship leader. And I remember this worship leader could sing. Sang, you know what I'm saying? Sang is how I need to say it. And he could play the keyboard. Man, it was good. And I remember we were just chatting. I said, bro, if I could sing and play like you, I'd never preach again. And I meant it lightheartedly, but with sincerity because he was that good. And one of the associates looked at me. He pointed his finger at me. He said, Steve, don't ever say that again. I'm not going to lie. I was a little off put by it. Like, what you say, play? Why are you talking to me like that? I'm not even kidding. It was a long time ago. I've come a long way, hopefully. But I was just like, and I think he could kind of catch my vibe. Like I was kind of off put by that. He goes, don't ever want someone else's gift. You stir up your gift. He can do what you can't, and you can do what he can't, but we all need each other's gifts. And the reason why I mention that in conjunction with the story of Peter is, as a matter of fact, right now I have it on pause here at my house. And I was watching American Idol. It's revived again after being off the air for 2 years. And it still amazes me. The people who can't sing like at all, who sound like they gargle with rocks, are the ones that are most off-put when the judges keep it real with them, saying, you're nice, you're sweet, but this is not for you. And they look in the camera and they're like, I thought you wanted good singers. I thought this was a singing competition. It is, but that's not your gifting. And I would say to you, as much as I would say to me, we all have things that we can contribute, and that includes our personality, that God is not at all intimidated by your personality. And I believe the reason that Peter was chosen is that Jesus knew, when I spend time with him and develop a relationship with him, Jesus didn't even want to change his profession. He said, I'll make you a fisher of men. And even before Jesus returned back up to heaven, had a conversation because Peter went back to work. He went back to fishing, that if he would take that same tenacity of who he was and put it in the right direction and focus that attention and perspective in the right way, he would do amazing things. Peter went on to change the known world. He was the very first guy to preach after Jesus went back to heaven, and 3,000 people gave their life to Jesus that day. So what's the moral of the story? Your personality is no surprise to God. He put it in there. But when we begin to put it in his hands, he can do more with it than we ever could on our own. I'm going to get back to American Idol and stop hating this time change and maybe get to bed early. Hope you guys are encouraged. Have a great night. We'll talk to you next time.